Welcome to parts number 11 of the Legend of Zelda Swordless challenge. We're almost done with the game. We just have to do temple number 8, then head back to temple number 6, and finally head to temple number 9, otherwise known as the final dungeon of the game. I think I said this earlier, but you can't actually complete this challenge. It is impossible. You can't defeat Ganon without the sword. And because of that, I almost didn't do the challenge. Normally when I do a challenge, I try to beat a game, whatever game. I try to beat a game under a certain set of rules and conditions and restrictions and something to make the game usually harder. And with this one, you can't beat the game, so I kind of didn't want to do it. But since you can make it to the final boss, I figured, why not? Let's just do it. And at this point in the challenge, I didn't really want to finish it. I mentioned this earlier, but at this point, once you have the magic sword, it's like, it's not a challenge anymore because you have a sword. It's not exactly a sword, but it's almost exactly identical to a sword. So I kind of lost interest. I took a long break before finishing the challenge, and I don't know, it just didn't feel like a challenge anymore. It just felt like playing this game, and this game, I don't really enjoy replaying it. I mean, it's a good game, but when I want to play a Zelda game, I'd much rather play Link to the Past or Minish Cap or, yeah, I mean, this game, I don't know, it's still a classic, but I don't think it's aged that well. The controls are still kind of stiff, and it's still worth playing if you're a fan of the series, but if you're a first-timer, definitely don't start here. Start with one of the later games, because those are just better. Link to the Past, or Minish Cap, or even those games on Game Boy. Those ones are good too. Although I haven't played the Oracle series yet. Maybe one day I'll play them, but not right now. Anyways, temple number 8. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of dark nuts in it. I don't think there's any wizards. But dungeon number 8 actually has 2 items in the dungeon. However, I don't get one of them. The first one you can get is the skeleton key, and that basically, it's like a small key that can be used an infinite amount of times. So small keys are useless now, there's no point to have them. It's a nice item, but you get it in dungeon number 8, and, well, by the time you're at dungeon number 8, you don't really need that many keys anymore. So the item isn't that useful. As far as I know, the skeleton key has not made a reappearance in any other Legend of Zelda game. Not that I can think of right now. Can anybody tell me otherwise? Maybe I'm just missing one that I can't think of, but as far as I know, there is no skeleton key. The other item in dungeon number 8 is, it's called the Book of Magic. And the Book of Magic, it upgrades your magic wand. So, you may be thinking, why aren't you getting it? Well, the upgrade is it shoots out a ball of fire, very similar to the one that's shot out by the candle. But it can harm you. You aren't invincible to the fire. So if I shoot it out and I try to walk forward, I get hit by it. And the fire, it's not that useful. It's really not. I find oftentimes that I get hit by it and my enemy either gets hit by it but barely gets hurt, or they just avoid it. So, in general, I never really get the Book of Magic. Get it if you want, but I recommend you get it if you're playing the game with a sword, but if you're playing the game where the magic wand is your primary weapon, then don't bother. Just skip it. Just, yeah, don't even bother with it. This is why you should always carry some potions on you. Right here, I am running dangerously low on health, so I pull out that red potion, drink it, refill all of my health, and then I still have a blue potion in case I need it again. So make sure you head into every dungeon with a red potion. Well, you don't really need it for like the first 2 or 3, but for the later dungeons, definitely get it. Because you don't want to die at this point. Because like I said earlier, for this challenge, if you die, you have to retry. You can't save and continue. Just for my version of the challenge. If you don't want to take that rule, then fine, you can save and continue or whatever you want, but for my version of the challenge, you have to do it all in one run, each level in one run. You can only use save and continue after you beat a dungeon. No, you can use save and continue whenever you want, but you can't use it like after you die. You have to access the menu by yourself. Anyways, here's our boss for stage number 8. It's very similar to one we saw earlier. I forgot which level, but just keep hitting it. It'll go down really quickly, especially if you have the amount of hearts I have. And yeah, it's a very easy boss. You shouldn't have any problems with it, especially if you have all that health and a blue potion in reserve, or even a red potion in reserve, or whatnot. So, anyways, in the next video, we are going to go back to dungeon number 6 and finish that off.